Hello, my name is Jasmine Price, and I'm part of the Math for Teachers program at Central Texas College. Today I'll be teaching 6th graders about Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is when a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And that is the main equation that we will be using today. A, b, and c are the common terminology used for the sides of a triangle. The c is also equal to the hypotenuse. So, 3, 4, and a question. A equals 3. So in a squared, 3 squared, b squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. Well, 3 squared is 9, and 4 squared is 16. Add these together, 25 equals c squared. But we're not looking for c squared, we are looking for c. So, you square root both sides, and 5 equals c. And that is the answer to the equation. However, 5 and 6. Well, a equals 5 and c equals 6 because the hypotenuse is directly opposite of the right angle. So b would be your question mark. So 5 squared plus b squared equals 6 squared. 25 plus b squared equals 36. You subtract 25 from both sides. So b squared equals 11. And how you would put that in the calculator is the exact same way that you did for this. You'd square root it. So, for your calculator, you would put second square root of 11, which would be 3.31. But however, we will use the tenths. So b equals 3.3. And that is the answer to that question. Let's go on to the next one. 14 and 5. On a worksheet, this could be bigger with a smaller number, and this can be smaller with a bigger number. The order doesn't matter. This is A, and this is B. Or, this is A, and this is B. But this will always be C, because the hypotenuse can only be there. And for this equation, we will be looking for C. So 14 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. So 196 plus 25 equals C squared. Let's do it that way. 11, 12, 221. So C squared equals 221. You would square root both sides. Again, on the calculator, you'd do second squared 221, enter. And it would be 14.9 because you want to round up. And that is what C equals. Now, on your worksheet, and I'll use a different color for this one, have 8, which is A, and 14, which is B. Well, 14 squared plus 8 squared, or 8 squared plus 14 squared, if you would put it one way or the other, equals C squared. Well, 196 plus 64 equals C squared. And to find the squares on your calculator, you would just type in 14 and use the same button that you'd use for the square root, but without the second. You click enter and you get 196. I will leave this on the board so that you may find your calculator and have a guide to using it. So 196 plus 64, that's 10, 16, 260. So 260 equals C squared. And you would square root it. The square root of 260 is 16.1. So 16.1 equals C. And that is your answer. Now let's do another one off your worksheet. We will do this one. Now for this one, this can be A or B, but this is only C because opposite of the hypotenuse. So 4 squared plus B squared equals 6 squared. 16 plus B squared equals 36. You subtract 16 from both sides. B squared equals 20. You would, again, square root both sides, and B equals second square root 20, 4.5. And that is your answer. Now, let's do one more. This one will not be on your worksheet. This one is just to make sure you have the hang of how to use Pythagorean theorem. This can be A or B, but this would still have to be C, as it's opposite of the right angle, which makes it the hypotenuse. This can also be A or B. So when you write an equation, you can write it as 14 squared plus B squared equals 7 squared, or A squared plus 14 squared equals 7 squared. 7 squared will always be on the right side as it is c, but the 14 can go in either position, depending on how you want to write it. I like to write it as 14 squared plus b squared equals 7 squared. So 196 plus b squared equals 49. Now when you subtract, what do you notice there? B squared would equal a negative number. But b squared cannot equal a negative. Therefore, this is inconclusive. You cannot solve that with a negative number, which makes this entire equation unable to solve. The right way to be able to solve that would be A and B being smaller than C. A will always be smaller than C, as B will always be smaller than C. Because A and B are equal to the sum of the two. So when, say, 5 plus 9 equals 16, 16 plus 9 would not equal 5. So C will always be the biggest number. If you see it in any other way, that equation will not be able to be solved. Thank you for attending my short video lesson on Pythagorean theorem, and I hope to see you guys again soon.